Welcome back to Average Age Plays, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are looking at a very unique civilization, different from every other civilization that I've cast so far in this series, the Burmese. Now you might find yourself asking, Kaiser, what is it about the Burmese that is so different from every other civilization, the Aztecs, the Britons, the Bulgarians, the Berbers, so on and so forth, that you've cast thus far? And what it is when we look at the civilization, a lot of people typically play the Burmese, somewhat similar to the Spanish. You fast castle and then you just go all in into their unique unit, the Arambai. The Arambai is a very special, unique unit. It's kind of like a cavalry archer. There's some cool things about the Arambai. We'll talk more about them in a little bit. But if we set the Arambai to the side and you just look at their attributes and their bonuses and you ask yourself the question, how should I play the Burmese? Unlike every other civilization we've looked at thus far, which presents a very specific strategy, all of the traits seem to fit together to give us a good, unified, synergistic strategy. The Burmese are a civilization that seem to have attributes that can go in different directions, giving you flexibility, but it's very hard to use all of these attributes at the same time for the same civilization. Let me explain what I mean, right? So if we pull up their unique bonuses, right? The first thing we'd like to highlight, or I think is worth highlighting, is actually at the bottom here, this the team bonus. Relics are visible on the map at game start. Now, this is pretty neat, especially if you're playing on a map like Arena, for example, because what you can do is, what I see right out of the gate is you can see where all of the relics are. Now, that's great if you hit the castle age, you want to collect the relics for a good late game situation. That's a bonus I'm going to want to keep in mind. But also, it can serve as a way of guesstimating where your opponent might be. Now, that's not as useful on an arena map, but in Arabia, you might see, well, if I'm up here in this corner and then I see relics kind of spanning across this way, then there's a good chance the opponent's over there and that sort of thing, right? You can do a good job guessing at where your opponent is, and that information can be very useful, right? But other than that, of course, it does make it just that much easier again in the Castle Age to collect those relics. So that's something I'm going to be keeping in mind as I go on this game, because I am playing an arena. I want to fast castle, and you actually do see me getting ready to lure in deer. Or I guess not right away. I'll be luring in my second boar first, but I'm going to be luring in deer, building up to fast castle. Let's get back to those bonuses. So the relic bonus is a really unique one. It's pretty cool. Right up there at the top of the Civ bonuses, probably the one that you will make use of every game. A very powerful, very cool eco bonus. Lumber camp upgrades are free. So as soon as you hit the feudal age, your lumberjacks are working more efficiently, more effectively. Everyone else has to put in a significant food and wood excuse me, a significant wood and food investment in order to get that technology up and running. And of course, it takes time too. So as soon as you hit the feudal age, you have the tech. You don't need to spend the food resources, the wood resources, or the time resources in order to get that bonus up and running. So you can, in this game, what I attempted to do was put fewer villagers on wood than I otherwise might, so that I could put more villagers elsewhere and still get the same kind of wood input, right? At least early on, I realized I did not need as many villagers on wood as normal. And that's what I've experienced in my games playing as the Burmese. It seems as if I always have more wood than I normally would, just from not needing to buy those techs, from being able to collect wood out of the gate faster. I can use that bonus to get gold faster, or to put more villagers on food, or what have you. It can actually spin off into a solid eco bonus elsewhere, right? So that is a really strong bonus, and probably the one that you'll be using every game. Well, almost guaranteed you'll be using that every game. But here's where it gets interesting, because next we have an infantry bonus. Infantry units have +1, +2, and +3 attack in the feudal, castle, and imperial age, respectively. Now, That is fantastic if you have the opportunity to go into that militia line, well, I guess infantry unit, right? So it's a nice bonus if you're going to go swordsman. Based on the wording here, it means that it also applies to, spearmen as well. So that's pretty neat. So good if you're dealing with anti-cav. And of course, I'm playing against the Magyar, so that's something to keep in mind. But you're not going to be using infantry every game. In fact, there are many games where you won't really build any infantry at all. You'll be focused on knights or archers, and then the counters that come together. And before you know it, you've won the game. And infantry just don't come into play. But it is a very unique bonus because it can be used both in the early game and in the late game. Let's say you do a drush, and then you go up to the feudal age. Well, that bonus is coming into play because your longswordsman, or I'm sorry, your men-at-arms, will be hitting, with one extra attack than other men-at-arms will. So you, let's say it's 3 infantry versus 3 infantry, you win that fight, right? And of course, it scales up into the Imperial Age as well with +3 additional attack. It means that they are that much more effective at dealing with trash, that much more effective at tearing down buildings. It is a really good bonus if you happen to go into infantry, but it can also be a hard technology to maybe take advantage of, especially because, again, we don't see many other bonuses other than maybe that lumber camp bonus if you play it right. You don't see other bonuses really supporting an infantry strategy. After that, we have monastery technologies are 50% cheaper. So that is a great opportunity to make sure that your monks, if you go into monk play, that they are teched up, that you have stronger monks, more effective monks than they otherwise might be, right? It can be expensive, playing monks if you go heavily into them and, getting those technologies. So just being able to, out of the gate, excuse me, again, there's a cough that I've got that I'm just trying to shake. I'm feeling fine every other way, but this cough just lingers, so I apologize. But, it's just so much easier to get those monks up and running with their technologies, faster than, and more cheaply, more cost efficiently than any other civilization can. So a really strong bonus there. Let me briefly talk about the game here, because this is going to be important. We do see Leo Ray in the gray playing as the Magyar, a cavalry-focused civilization, and he's actually teching up to the Castle Age already. And that on top of being up a villager. So good for him. I think that's probably because I've got 30 seconds of idle TC time. He's cut that in half with 16 seconds. So a really good job there. Now on the flip side, I have eco upgrades coming in. I should have. Let me see here. No, I think what I wanted... Yeah, what I had wanted at the time was to get the farm techs in, but I had run out of food, so that wasn't happening, right? So I need wood. I need food. So I just decided to throw down the farms and get to it, right? Anyway, let me jump back to these civilization bonuses before we run out of time here and the fighting starts. If we look next, we have their unique technologies. And notice we've got an infantry bonus, we've got a monastery bonus. The unique techs, Howdah gives battle elephants +1 and +2 armor, right? So now we've got a bonus for elephants, making them even tankier, even stronger than elephants normally are. And elephants, as long as you're not dealing with pikemen or monks, and you're not dealing with units or a player that can kite effectively, elephants are amazing, a great unit, and to make them even tankier is pretty impressive. You just have to be careful because there are several ways that monks can be outplayed, and there are few units that have so much value wrapped up in a single unit as an elephant. So an elephant dying is a lot of resources down the drain, right? I've made a really big mistake here. I deleted my lumber camp in order to build a town center, and didn't realize I actually didn't have enough wood. So I had to buy wood to build the TC. Lesson learned. And then you have the Imperial Age technology, mana per cavalry. Cavalry get +5 attack against archers. So that includes elephants, that includes scouts, that includes knights. It's a fantastic, you already have kind of the monks as an anti-cavalry option, and now you've got this technology that makes your cavalry an anti-archer option. It's a really great Imperial Age technology, right? So if you look at all of this put together, and I'm ignoring the Arambai for a second, because for me, at the average age plays, I'm looking at everything else going on, right? So looking at all of these bonuses and unique technologies, they're a little bit all over the place. It's hard to come up with a comprehensive strategy that brings it all together, right? So sometimes you'll have a game where you can use all of this or most of this. But in this case, well, I say not in this case. In many cases, what's going to end up happening is you'll only use half of the bonuses. You might say, listen, this is one of those games where I needed to go into knights because knights are faster than elephants, and speed is really important for cavalry. So, maybe I'm just not able to go into elephants at all, and that means I don't take advantage of Howdah. Or my opponent really isn't building a lot of archers, so can't really research mana per cavalry. Or it's one of those games where I just never got into monks. I hit them with a fast castle knight play and just destroy them so effectively that I stayed on the offensive and won the game. Or, I was really focused in on, knights or, archer cavalry or something like that, I just never got to take advantage of that infantry bonus. So, many games will be like that. It's just, there's such an all-around civ. It's hard to show up and say, well, with this civilization, you're going to want to go into this strategy virtually 100% of the time, like you might if we were talking the Berbers, for example, and their civilization is just so geared toward cavalry, that's what you want to do. Take a look at this, by the way. We have Leo Ray on the offense here, trying to castle drop me. Now, I've got a second town center, so in the long run, theoretically, my economy will be better, but he wants to try to bring this game to a close now. I sent a monk out to try to capture these faraway relics, but that was before I realized I was being castle dropped. And so what I decided to do was, kind of pull back, play it safe, just grab a couple of relics, get them in real fast. Do what I can, but I'm worried about being, just losing my monks for no good reason. So notice also I'm picking up those monk techs, cheaper cost, because I want monks that can move faster, so they can get to their relics faster, and I want monks that are healthier with Sanctity coming up next, right? So they can take more hits before dying, which means that they're more likely to get their conversions off. As of late, I've been finding myself just in love with monk play. The things that you can do with a monk, you can shut down early cavalry play. You can, look at that, I'm fortunate. He doesn't see it. He does not see that happening. And so now, his monk is going back to base with nothing. And I think his scout realizes, wait a minute, that wasn't us. So, but they can convert, they can heal units. You can even shut down, if you get redemption, you can convert onagers, siege units, that sort of thing. There are so many great plays you can make with monks. I think other than siege units themselves, like onagers or mangonels, monks are maybe the big play-making unit in the game. And so they're just a lot of fun. I have found them difficult to play with in the past. It's one of those things that I've kind of developed a skill for over time. Like here. Look at this. This is great. I got one knight off. And in the early game, he's on one town center, right? So, these units cost resources. Here we go. Look at this. I convert 2 of his knights, and I don't think, did he live? I lost my monk, but because, and only because I had Sanctity, and Fervor meant this monk got into the wall in time. Sanctity meant that I could, that monk survived just long enough to get the conversion off. So there we have that monastery tech, the cheaper techs for the Burmese coming into play. Now, while this is developing, and we actually see, Leo Ray here realizing, wait a minute, if he's going heavily into monks, and I'm thinking, well, he is Magyar, so he wants to go deep into knights. That's why I already have the spearmen up. I've got the monks behind that. I need to get archers up to counter the monks, right? So, in the long run, this would be a great situation for Maniper cavalry in the Imperial Age. To get out cavalry of my own, or even the units that I've stolen from the Magyar, and then just empower them against archers with that tech. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch. Here we go. Do I get this? Do I get this knight? Yes, I do. So early on, pretty good situation. The scoreboard says he's in the lead, but I think that's probably because of scouting, if I had to guess. Oh, actually, no, we see the same things. Oh, no, wait a minute. He might see a little bit more than I do, but I have a better economy, not by much, but a better economy. And again, these conversions mean that the resources he's putting into knights are being not just wasted, but actually turned against him. So it's a great 1-2 punch there. Now, before I move on to talk about Arambai, because I think we should talk about Arambai a little bit and explain how they're unique, even though I don't believe I use them in this game. And you can leave a comment in the video if you want to see an Arambai-focused game. It's, again, very much like Conquistadors. They are a Cav Archer unit, but I'll get to that in a second. Normally in average age plays, I focus in on the unique techs, and we do see our Leo Ray here opening up a hole in the wall, and I'm trying to plug that. He's got some petards, you know. I'm trying to plug that with my own. Here we go, here we go. I got the monks converting 2 units, 1 down, second down. And again, Sanctity and Fervor combined meant the monks were in position to convert, and that they survived long enough to get those conversions off. That doesn't happen otherwise. So, hats off to the Burmese. I'm plugging that hole so that he has to funnel through through this way, right? And that works for me. He's going in 2 knights at a time, and as long as he's going knights, I'm just going to keep going monks and converting him. Yeah, these are wasted resources. He'll be lucky if he gets a Vil kill, but it's not going to work for him in the long run. It's really not. Okay. Those knights go down. These units, he killed a scout. Good for him. But the knights, I'm just going to heal up. And I have a pretty our military's not that bad for being a situation where I've actually invested very little into my own army. I just keep converting his units. But the tech, I'm sorry, let me go back to the situation. I very rarely talk about the tech tree, right? But one thing you do have to be aware of as the Burmese is they are one of the weakest archer civilizations in the game. One of the weakest, by far. And the reason why is because in the blacksmith, they only have access to the feudal age archer armor. And so what that means is, you can build archers, and they're kind of glass cannons. They can still put out damage, but their health will be very, very little indeed. They go down very quickly because they don't have the armor. They cannot withstand a lot of damage of their own. Not that archers are designed to be tanks, but really, you will come to appreciate the health of the armor, the durability that Castle Age and Imperial Age archer armor gives you once you've played the Burmese and you try to go archers without it. Now here, I'm going Battle Elephant. I've been going Knights, and that's because I want the speed and the mobility, and again, I've been converting Magyar units up to this point. But now I'm going Trebuchets, and what I would really love to have is a really tanky defensive unit that can withstand whatever the Magyar try to throw at me. Like, for example, Magyar Hussar, right? I want a really strong front line, and if you're playing a more defensive-oriented game, it's going to be hard to beat, battle elephants. Again, as long as you're not going up against spearmen, pikemen, halberdier, that sort of thing, or monks, they are a fantastic front line. And so here I've got Howdah coming up as I'm knocking down the second castle of Leo Ray. And at this point, he's in trouble. Even though, I gotta give him credit. I don't want to give him credit for this. He actually has a stronger economy than I do. He's up 3 villagers. But, again, with so many of his resources either being knocked down, that's 1,300 stone that he just lost there, Now he's got another castle, and how likely is that castle to stay up? I don't know. Not very likely, I don't think. Not when I'm the one that's in the Imperial Age with trebuchets up, and he's still in the Castle Age. Really not near it. He needs a lot more gold than what he's got. So this gives me a lot of time to knock things down without repercussion, you know? Pretty happy about it. Now, what you'll notice, he's starting to put archers out. This would have been, once he goes heavy into the archers, what I absolutely should have done, as I use a monk to convert the pikemen, because I really don't want. It's I'd say kind of a waste. It's not really a waste so much, but, oh, look at this. Now see, he's made the right call. He's got monks. He's now going to convert at least one of my own elephants. Yeah, I do get out in time. But I'm not going to take all of those elephants and all those knights and try to fight against pikemen. That's, you know, I could get some kills there, but that's too much gold, too many resources on my end. It would be a Pyrrhic victory, if a victory at all. So I pull them back and I realize I need a response to the pikemen. And I realize, hey, wait a minute, don't the Burmese have something about infantry? Oh yeah, that's right, they got the harder hitting infantry line. Well, why don't I just go heavy into longswordsmen, right? They're going to wipe the floor with the spearmen. They will beat out the Magyar Hussar. They will make a great front line as well, coupled with the battle elephants. It's a great opportunity, right? And at this point, the only thing that could really counter what I've got, what I'd be bringing to the table, are archers, which in fact he is actually building. Now, this is really annoying, and I think it's partly because of this tree in the middle here, but I think my trebuchets have blocked the entrance. It'll be harder for me to get units out to respond to what he's doing. So I'm not a fan of that. I should have been a little bit more forward-thinking, but here we go. Unit for unit, I will definitely win this fight, but the question for Leo is, will he take out my trebuchets? The Magyar Hussar have a bonus attack against siege units, so they're great at wiping out trebuchets. Yeah, so now I've got the elephants. They are here in order to... they're here in order to help protect keep this castle going up, and that's not happening. But, here we go. Longswordsman versus pikemen. This is a major, major win for me. And again, that Burmese bonus. At this point, it's +3 attack, right? So they are, again, wiping out the Leo Ray's army much faster than they otherwise would. Now, right here, as long as he lets the elephants stay on top of his archers, easy win, right? So, and elephants, they do trample damage, so not only do they damage the unit they're attacking, but they also do damage to adjacent units. There we go. Get those infantrymen in there. Now, what would have been nice in that situation, because they did do some good damage, if I had Manipur cavalry, that means elephants would have been doing so much more damage. That would have been nice. But, you know, lost opportunity there. I'm quite happy right now, though, with everything else that I've been able to use as far as the Burmese go. Harder hitting infantry. Tankier battle elephants. Even tankier than normal. That's how I normally like to use elephants, as a tanky front line. Kind of more of a defensive unit. And the Burmese have the best of the best when it comes to that tanky approach, right? Well, I guess the Vietnamese do get the bonus technology that gives their elephants more health. But the Burmese extra armor is a really, really nice bonus, and I believe is a better bonus in the long run. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. Even though he's got a few more vills than I do, I see him working on the gold right here. Unfortunately, I lose a couple of units. I don't lose too many vills. It's not the worst thing in the world. But I have the military momentum that is just really giving me an edge here. I'm trying to take down these military production buildings. I'm hoping he doesn't really have a lot at home, and indeed he doesn't. So he's kind of got to start from ground zero if he wants to get up the kind of post-imperial military production that we often see in arena games, where you've got 10 barracks and 12 archer ranges and 13 stables, and you're just producing so quickly. I think that's what he wanted. I'm tearing that down. Right. Lose a couple infantry, but not the end of the world. I've got elephants up too, monks behind that. And I want to say, let me just check this real quick in the game. Did I research? Yeah, I've also picked up Redemption and Atonement and Faith and block printing. So I didn't make mention of it earlier, but I have so many monk technologies researched at this point too, keeping my monks really competitive even into the Imperial Age. I can convert siege units if Leo Ray dares to bring up siege units. I can convert his monks. If he gets his monks in range, I'll convert them. I picked up block printing, which gives my monks extra conversion range, so they can convert from further away, right? I picked up Faith, which means that my monks, or my units, are harder to convert. That's a good defensive technology if your opponent is going heavy into, monks and conversions. So right here, I've got up a third town center. I'm collecting these resources in the center of the map. Feeling pretty good. As at the same time, my trebs have knocked down this castle. I'm wiping out his infantry with my wiping out his cavalry with my harder hitting infantry. Yeah. Right now, I've got all the momentum. This is really going my way, even though I'm down about 24 vills. The military momentum is just so strong for me, right? Now, before this game comes to a close, I do want to talk a little bit about the Arambai. And like I said, leave me a comment if you want to see an Arambai game. But the Arambai, their shtick is that they have a unique weapon. They have a throwing dart. They are not very accurate. So in situations where you only have a couple of Arambai, they're not very good, right? They hit pretty hard, but they're going to miss as often as they hit, right? That's the bad news. By the way, you can use elephants kind of like battering rams. They're almost semi-siege. So I have no problem wiping out the cavalry here and then just destroying buildings with the elephants. It's pretty great. Anyway. But if you get the Arambai in mass, you get up to where you have 30 Arambai, 40 Arambai, they are wonderful at wiping out waves of units. Because the dart, even when it misses, it does full damage if it swings wide and hits some other unit. And that's not always the case for Arambai. For ranged units. I think most of the time they do reduced damage if they miss and hit something else. But for Arambai, they do full damage, so massing up a lot of Arambai means that you are very, very effective. They are army killers, right? Here we go. I'm killing Vills, taking out his Stone Eco, destroying his economy, and Leo Ray says, I really don't know what to do here. Call him the GG. And that's the Burmese. They have a pretty strong early eco technology. It was so great to go into the Castle Age. I'm sorry, to go up the ages and just not have to worry about picking up these lumber techs. You'll see, and I find this in most of my games, I often don't even research the final farm upgrade. I'm focused on other things, the resources are better spent elsewhere, and then you just forget. But knowing that you've got the lumber techs in your back pocket, it's a really strong eco upgrade, and from there, so many military options that depending on how the game plays out, you can take advantage of Howdah and mana per cavalry. You can take advantage of the infantry bonus. There's so many things that you can do, right? Another possibility for that infantry bonus that didn't even happen here, but if you're stuck in a post-imperial game and you don't have any more gold on the map, well, your spearmen do more damage to their spearmen than they do to you because you have that bonus attack damage, right? So, really, really good game. And I want to confirm this. Let me just see real quick. Yeah, they get halberdier and everything, so you end up having better trash spearmen than many civilizations. You definitely have really, really strong infantry, and I honestly think that was probably the star of this game, is just going heavy into infantry, being able to wipe out his pikes, his cavalier. Most of the time, knights, just because of their mobility, if nothing else, knights will beat infantry, but cost efficiently, infantry will beat out on knights, and that's even more so when you have a great bonus like this one for the Burmese. So that bonus really came into play. Being able to have the tankier elephants, I think I ended up going, not really, I never researched. They do get elite war elephant. That would have been a good option, but I guess I really was doing everything I needed with only a few elephants, and sometimes the game plays out that way. Yeah, so they have a lot of bonuses. Unlike other civilizations, I'll say it one more time, like the, again, the Berbers, for example, where all of their bonuses synergize, and you want to take advantage of all of them. Or maybe the Britons would be another example. All of those bonuses synergize, where most games, you're going to want to throw down multiple town centers. You're going to want to go archers, take advantage of that range bonus and the faster working archery ranges. There's a lot of flexibility and mobility that the Burmese bring to the table. You can't use their bonuses every game. This game, I never got into their Arambai, which for many strategies is the go-to unit. But in this case, I did get to use most of the Burmese bonuses, and so I thought this was a really great game for the Average Age Plays series. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know how you're enjoying the series, what you want to see next. I really appreciate the feedback. Let me know if you want, again, one last time, if you want to see a Arambai game or something else, let me know. I'm all about it. But for now, this is the Iron Kaiser with the Burmese, signing off.